TJOB.
Hello, welcome to the show. Jim Toth, how you doing?
Very well. Happy Tuesday now that I got my mic on. Very well. Happy Tuesday. Good to have you back.
Well, you know, that has to happen at least once a week. So we got it out of the way now.
I've only been in radio for 30 years. Well, not 30, but the media for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I will one day remember to turn my mic on. So I'm good. Yeah.
Jets and Noon is brought.
I feel old now.
Oh, it's all good. Jets and Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line. And when a VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program as we're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. We've got a very special guest on the show today, Jim Toth.
Very special guest as we continue to go through the summer and revisit some of former Jets. We're going all the way to Finland for a fan favorite, I think.
Yeah, Olli Jokinen, a former Jet and current coach of IFK Helsinki. Olli, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good, Olli. Good to hear from you again. How are you? Everything well over there?
Yeah, everything is well. You know, summer is almost over. In Europe, the season starts a little bit earlier, so we got next week we start with our training camp, and but all good. It's good to be back home.
Oh, I think we lost him. We'll try and reconnect with him. I wonder. Do you sort of wish that we would have started the seasons? We should follow Europe and start the season when they do, I think.
That's interesting,
Yeah.
right? Because it's getting underway right away.
Yeah.
It's kind of like American schools beginning like the third week of August.
Yeah.
And then kids get out earlier. I would just like the NHL season to be over by the end of May.
Yeah, NFL camps are opening up too. Oh yeah, Olli, we got you back. So you look back at your time with the Winnipeg Jets. What sort of stands out?
Well, I think it was obviously when I signed over there. You know, that first 6 months it was lockout. You know, so the first season over there was a short season, 40 game season, and then the next season was a full season. But what really stands out, it's the people in Winnipeg. People in Winnipeg, you know, we made lifelong friends over there with that 2 years, and obviously the organization, top-notch ownership, the hockey, the management part with leading with Chevy. You could see it at the time when I was there. That's a long time ago. That the organization it's there to stay, and the fan base is great, and they've been building the team with the passion, and a lot of good memories. A lot of good memories from there.
I remember that lockout season, Olli, and I would go to the now Hockey for All Center where a couple of you were skating, and I remember asking you, like, any thoughts of going back home, and you mentioned, well, we have a place in Florida, and we asked the kids, do you want to go to Florida till this thing is over? And your kids said, no, we love Winnipeg, we want winter.
Yeah, they love their winter, you know. Obviously, we came from Calgary, you know, the Florida was the home base for us, and we everywhere we went, I had family with me, and we really wanted to get involved with the community. I think it's a huge thing that, especially when you get the kids and to be part of the community, be just one of the guys, one of the families in the town, and it was a good time, actually. You know, even the lockout, you know, you wanted to start playing and competing and all that, but I had plenty of time to get to know the city. That's for sure.
Yeah, you wore an A when you were a member of the Winnipeg Jets. Was that a part of sort of the sell when you came to Winnipeg in free agency back in 2012? Was we want you to be a bridge between some of the up and coming players like the Mark Scheifele's of the time? I mean, I don't think you necessarily played with him because I think he was in the Barrie Colts, but you were sort of a bridge. Is that how things kind of worked out?
Yeah, it was. You know, I was an older guy, 33, I think, 34 when I signed there, and obviously I had a couple pretty good, decent years, kind of bounce back seasons in Calgary, and obviously that was the idea over there, to bring me in as the second line, third line guy, bring some experience, stuff like that, and obviously, especially the lockout year was tough for me. I made a huge mistake there on my part that I should have go to Europe and play, being in the older side, and so that first season with the Jets, it really kind of was one of my worst seasons I played, and but the things got pretty good over there, especially when Paul Maurice came in.
Yeah, let's talk about that and the difference Paul made as a coach when he was here to you in your career.
Well, I think to me, and obviously I was at the tail end of my career, he's the guy that he planted that seed in my head that maybe I should be coaching after I'm done playing. And but it was very refreshing at that time. You gotta go back 13 years, 12 years from now that. You have a coach coming in and he's actually asking you, how's your wife, how's the kids? And you're kind of wondering, like, is that kind of trick question? Because the coach is being used to ask that kind of questions, and he was really down to earth, honest guy. Everything changed. Everything changed when he walked into the building, from the practices, from the meetings, from the preparation. He was the best thing what happened to that organization that he came in there.
So that's interesting because I remember having conversations with you. There was so much downtime in the lockouts, but even the next year about the game and the system. And I remember one player once said, maybe we just have to dumb it down. And we went over to you and asked you about that. And you rolled your eyes and you're like, there's only 3 or 4 systems and you got to get the one that's the best for your team. And I thought then that you might be a good coach and be interested in that. Now that you are coaching, was it a hard sort of sell to you once your career ended to get into coaching? And when did that actually transpire into fruition where it actually happened?
It kind of, after that Winnipeg, when I ended up signing with Nashville that year, and kind of after that year, I was like, God, I'm either going to play 1 or 2 years max, that, okay, my time is going to come to the end and all that. So obviously start thinking about what I want to do after I'm done playing, and coaching, being involved with hockey game. Was thinking a lot of other things outside of hockey too, but it always came back to that okay, maybe I can give something back to the game. But then at the same time, I didn't want to jump into that NHL lifestyle or pro lifestyle immediately. So we immediately after I was done, we started our own hockey academy, South Florida Hockey Academy in Florida with Thomas Vokoun, Radek Dvorak, Peter Sukora. So we had 4 former NHL players, and we wanted to start that because we all wanted to be involved with hockey, especially with in the youth and the next generation. And Florida at that time was the place that a lot of the kids needed to leave the state of Florida. At the age of 15, 14, 16 to go Detroit or Minnesota, any of these other states to play. So we wanted to build something that Florida kids don't need to leave. School was a big part of that. So got in, kind of wanted to build a playing field for myself as well, that I can see if the coaching is the thing or not. And fell in love from first day, and then basically COVID came and put the stoppage to our operations in Florida. So then the next thing is that I called my agents and I told them that, okay, I'm ready to go coach. I'm pro, but not in North America. I want to go to Europe and kind of want to be a head guy immediately and run my show and see where that goes.
You played with 10 different teams. It took almost 800 NHL games before you made your first playoff appearance. How did going through that shape how you approach coaching?
Like a lot of the things in my coaching is that about the mistakes, decisions, the bad decisions, mistakes on the ice, off the ice. You kind of grown as a person, so you want to share that knowledge to the next generation. But it has nothing to really. It's actually pretty funny when you look at it back that my first year was 1997. 97 to 98, I played 8 games in LA. Got promoted down. I couldn't go to minors. I was too young, so I went back to Finland. So we won the championship in Finland, and Dave Taylor, who was a GM at that time, he asked me that, hey, okay, we're in the playoffs. We play against St. Louis first round. We won you there. I said, no, I want to go to the World Championships. I would have get that first playoff game my first year, So that decision too, kind of, I regret a lot, that why the hell I choose to go to the World Championships instead of NHL playoffs. But I was 18 at the time, so I didn't think about it. And then I needed to wait for a really, really long time to get that first game. And, I think it shows that, obviously you can't take anything granted. A lot of the times the grass is not greener on the other side. I believed, especially in my prime years, that Florida would make that jump as a team and as a group. And, they did that 20 years after I left.
Well, yeah, I mean, you helped lay the foundation there, Olli. I mean, back-to-back champs, 3 straight trips to the Stanley Cup. I mean, you wore the C there. Did you ever see?
Well, we had a lot of guys there that went through the pain. Obviously, Luongo was part of that for a long time. Then he obviously ended up going to Vancouver. Stephen Weiss for part of that for a long time. Jay Bowmeister, So there was a lot of us who was part of that for a very, very long time. And you can see it with Jay, with the Bo example. Like he had, like 800 games as well before he played his first NHL game. Good for him. He ended up winning the cup in St. Louis. But I think it shows that it's a stiff league to make the playoffs. Very stiff.
Yeah. Olli, it's been so great catching up with you. You're one of the guys that were always great with the media and willing to talk and straightforward and honest. And I'm glad to see your coaching and the families well and all that. Would you ever consider coming to North America to coach in the NHL?
Absolutely. I've had opportunities in the last 5-6 years to be there to assistant, but time is not right. I really want to still develop, still want to kind of be patient with it in that way that, I just don't want to come back over there and have a cup of coffee, Obviously, my big goal is to be the head coach in one of the NHL organizations in one day. And it's great to see now that Marco Sturm got the opportunity now as a European guy and all that. And I know that, I need to grind that out, but I'm still young. That's a good thing in North America because you still see these 70-year-old guys over there, in Europe. If you're 40 year old, I'm one of the oldest coaches in this league. And I got plenty of time to come over there.
Well, and we loved watching your rant on the video last year.
I wanted
obviously you don't want your team to be in that situation, but then when we saw it, I'm like, we should get Olli on the show one day.
Well, I wanted to lead in with that clip, and I'm like, I can't run it. I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Yeah, it happened a few times last year. Obviously, today's media, the way the team's doing, the social media team that run by the team in Sweden last year, they asked if they can be in the meetings, if they can be there almost like 24/7. I'm like, I don't really care. If that's going to help to sell the tickets, do it, But obviously the clips like that, they go viral, That's kind of the language and all that, I'm very embarrassed, because you can get that same message. Because there was actually a message behind it, but especially in Europe, they kind of, headlines were about the F-bombs, But,
well, and I think what's lost in
North America, you use the F word a lot more, especially with the cold season.
Yeah, and I think that's what was lost in it going viral, Olli, is as hockey, media and fans, we got the message behind it, right? Like, so we understood it more, but it was also good for a laugh to see our former Winnipeg Jet player reading the riot act. So good luck to you coaching. It's been awesome catching up with you.
Yeah, have a wonderful season.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
we'll do this again.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, all the best.
Yeah, 204-780-6868, 204-780-6868.
That's interesting, right? The culture part of it. Like, we see it in North America, and we understand the message behind what he's saying to his team, but then we also laugh at the F-bombs. But in Europe, it's different culture, right? Like, so that's interesting. He has that perspective. But, I mean, he was only here for a short time, couple seasons, but I loved covering him, and he was always straightforward and honest. And just like the conversation we just had, it was good to hear him again.
Let's take a break. Let's come back. On the other side, a major contract dispute with the team in the Central Division. We'll talk all about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Brought to you by Washer Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later on in the program. So we're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza, pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Sharon texts the show. Thank you very much, Sharon, for this. Says, hi, I'm a female in my 60s. I love listening to you guys, and I'm not a huge sports fan, but I learn lots. Thank you very much, Sharon.
She also added, who was that beautiful coach you just interviewed?
It's Olli Jokinen.
Olli Jokinen, the coach now.
What'd you think of our conversation there with Olli?
Well, like I said, I only covered him for 2 years, but look, when he mentioned the lockout, right, and he should have gone to Europe.
That was interesting. Yeah.
I wondered about that because I thought the opposite. I thought the older players would take the time to not get injured, but he said it really derailed his career, right?
Yeah.
It took him a long time in that shortened season to get going after that. And to his point, in 45 games, he only had 14 points and 7 goals. And then the next year in 82 games, he had 43 points. Then he went to Nashville. Nashville sent him to Toronto. He was only there for 6 games. Then Toronto sent him to St. Louis for 8 games, and that was it. But 1,231 games, 750 points, only 6 playoff games. And he did that with the Calgary Flames in 08-09.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of Jets. Like Zach Bogosian hadn't played a playoff game from Winnipeg to from Atlanta to Winnipeg to Buffalo until he won with Tampa Bay. Ron Hainsey won a cup in Pittsburgh, and I think he went over a decade before he saw the playoffs. And then that story about at 18, them calling him up to play St. Louis in the first round of the playoffs. And he's like, no, I want to go to the World Championships. And that's what Europe is, right?
I was about
Europe
to say
doesn't
that,
pay attention to the World Juniors.
No.
I mean, they pay attention, but they could care less. But the World Championships is everything to European players.
So, like, what was Olli Jokinen going to be? If he would have came over and played in that series, would he have been just a black ace and they want him to play? I mean, would he have been a fourth liner?
It was 97, 98. He played 8 games for the Kings. He didn't have any points. And then he was also 9 games with Springfield. And then the next season after that in 98, 99, he played 66 games for the Kings. So, yeah, I mean, just to get that playoff, right? But he won the championship in Helsinki that year in 97, 98. He had 39 points in 30 games and helped Helsinki win the SM Liga, the championship. But, yeah, I always love talking to Olli. I mentioned the story about, those years for the Jets were rough.
Yeah.
And it was hard for a lot of fans to be patient and thought they should have done a bunch of trades and stuff. But I think they knew from the get-go they were going to have to build this team through the draft, that players just weren't going to come here. And so Olli, as you said, was brought in kind of as a placeholder from Calgary. I think he got $9 million or something, or maybe 6 over 3 years. It was I don't know what it was, but it was mostly, I remember, until Scheifele gets here. And then once Scheifele was here, to sort of just – the goal was hopefully that Olli would move down because Mark was ready as a young player.
Yeah.
But those were tough years for the organization. But Olli was great to talk to. He had stories. I mean, Cam, I remember he would just go, right? Just like he did with us. So that's why it was great to talk to him again, because we were in the room one day and he just said, like, how do you feel? How are you coming back? He's like, yeah, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that from an injury or something. And he said, I have a masseuse come to my house. But I can't get on the table because of my kids. And I was like, sorry, what? And I was recording. And he's like, well, I got a masseuse come to our house here, but as soon as she shows up and puts the table up, my 9-year-old or whatever he is, or 12-year-old says, oh, my shoulder hurts. Can I just get in here, Dad? And would lay on the table. And so that's funny, right? So then all of a sudden the media starts clamoring around us. And all of a sudden, the whole media is in a scrum with Olli Jokinen as he's telling, he's like, yeah. And then my 4-year-old's like, my knee hurts. And he goes, she's there for 2 hours. The time is up and I haven't even gotten on the table yet. Like just stories like that were brilliant. But they loved Winnipeg. And that's what I remember the lockout. I'm like, are you ever considering going back home? Because this doesn't look like it's going to end. Mm-hmm. And they have a place in Florida. It sounds like they still do with that school that they started down there. And he was like, we asked our kids and he goes, we kind of thought, well, if this is going to drag on, let's go to Florida for a month or two. And the kids were like, no, we want winter. We miss winter. So just stories like that. So it was great to hear from him. Great guy. Mm-hmm. And then I'm glad to see he got into coaching. But what I take from it too is fascinating. Paul Maurice, right?
Yeah.
In his long career, Olli Jokinen, he had been in the league over 10 years to the first time a coach asked him how his wife and kids were. And it reminds me of how much the game has changed that way in a positive nature. And I think sometimes too much. Like when you know how I think Paul Maurice is a great coach and a great motivator and all that. But when, I don't think coaches should party with their players. I don't think, any of that. But you have to care about your players. And it goes back to, like I tell the story, I can't imagine what Paul Maurice would be doing sitting in an office when Jack Roslovic walks in and says, I'd like a trade or I'd like to be moved or I want to play in the top 6. And you could no longer go, there's the door. We'll do that when you start scoring goals and playing better. That was the beginning of the era where it was like, okay, sit down, Jack. How can we help you?
Yeah.
And I bring that up because last time Jack was here with Carolina or whomever it was, Sean Reynolds, who's going to join us on the show tomorrow, had an interview with him or talked to him. And he mentioned that something along the lines. I remember Sean telling me that Jack was kind of, in retrospect, I wish I'd handled things a little differently. But like Olli staying for the World Championships as an 18-year-old, you regret some things in your career when you look back. And I'll go probably to my grave. I think Rutger McGroarty made a mistake.
Yeah, I think he did too.
I think that he could come play for the Moose, and if he kept... Now, he ended the season with the Penguins. Mm-hmm. Maybe he didn't make a mistake, Cam, because there's more room for him in that Penguins lineup than there is in this Jets one. So if he wants to get to the NHL and he wants to play, which he probably will this coming year, and he already has, I didn't see a spot for Rutger McGroarty in this year's team. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's laughing at me, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of players have a lot of regrets from their earlier years and the decisions they make.
Yeah, he might look back on it, but it just goes to show. I mean, he ended up winning a silver that year. They lost to Finland 2-0 in the final, but you understand how big the World Championships, people pay attention to it, but it doesn't have anywhere near the fan for it is massive.
The Stanley Cup playoffs are going
on. So it's like somebody saying an opportunity to play for the Cup, or they have an opportunity to play the World Championships. An 18-year-old from Finland. I mean, that's to him. It was like no. I got to go
grow
for
up
this.
Aspiring to.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was here when the team came. And I give Andrew Ladd a lot of credit for helping the organization.
Yeah.
I think behind the scenes, he did a lot of things about this is how it works. If you check the CBA, these are some of the things that we're supposed to be getting. So I think he helped the organization immensely that way. And it confirmed to me of what Paul Maurice did for this organization.
Yeah.
He brought, I don't want to say legitimacy because I'm a big Claude Noel fan, but I think he was in over his head.
Yeah.
And I think Paul Maurice came in, and at the time when there was rumors about they might need a coaching change here, and names are being thrown around like Alain Vigneault and Scott Arniel and stuff, I was on the board of Paul Maurice. I was like, having covered him in the American Hockey League with Toronto, I could see, when he was with the Marlies and then up to Toronto, I could see how I felt the organization needed Paul Maurice because they needed the kids to develop, to grow, and to get better now that they drafted well. And I think that's what he did. And I don't care what anybody says about he didn't like young players of this. You just ask Nick Ehlers, the Kyle Connors. Now, I don't know if Mark Scheifele and him are friends or not. You're not going to be good with everybody. But Trouba, Bufflin, all those. And then you hear Olli, right, and what he meant to this. So I think Andrew Ladd, as a player, really helped the organization get acclimatized. And I think Paul Maurice came in and really put this organization off a lot of big steps forward.
You know what? It's interesting because he kind of said, like, I've had opportunities to go and coach in North America, but I'm waiting for that right opportunity. The moment's not right. I don't want to go in there over for a cup of coffee. And it kind of contrasts.
And he wants to be a head coach.
That's right. And it contrasts, him saying to the LA Kings, no, I'm going to play in the World Championships, right? But it's coming from a more mature standpoint. It's like, I know myself, I know what I want, and I'm going to wait for that right opportunity. And listen, that team that he stayed in and won a championship with, he's now the head coach of in Helsinki.
Yeah.
Right. So it's probably a full circle moment here. And I think you'll see him as at a coaching opportunity, right? Marco Sturm from Germany comes over. He's got that position too with the Boston Bruins now. So, I think there's going to be more integration, I think, with the Europeans. I think as things move forward, and you're going to see more and more of it. I mean, you're seeing more players every single year. And I think at some point in history, and people might scoff at this, but you're going to see NHL franchises in Europe at some point. I don't know when or
I don't
if.
know about that.
No, eventually. I think they will move.
Well, fair enough.
Hey, I'm talking, it might be 40, 50 years or something like that, but I think eventually you'll see it happen.
Well, I'm on board with thinking the NFL will.
Yeah.
Because they play once a week, and it's real easy to have 2 home games and then go on the road for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, you have a week between games.
And then
It's
come
you
home
can become
and stuff.
acclimatized.
I think that's why they keep going over there.
Yeah.
I think that they, you have a bye week. You can have 2 or 3 games at home.
Yeah.
And you can work bye weeks around that, but they play once a week. I liked what he said about that, Cam, because the NHL is full of career assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
That they want to coach in the NHL, they do it. We see a lot of assistant coaches go back to the A to be head coaches because that's what they want. They want to be a head coach.
Yeah.
And a lot of people shake their heads at that. I remember Scott Arniel when I first met him when I moved here in 2005. Him and his wife Leah had a business, a gym, specifically for kids, and I did a story on that gym. And Scott was in Buffalo, I believe, as an assistant. He's a guy that left. Probably, if he bided his time, being Buffalo's head coach eventually one day. But I think Lindy Ruff was the guy at the time. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But he's another guy that came to the AHL to become a head coach. And then, there's a lot of people that I think that's why Scott, has learned so much and appreciated so much and is such a great fit for the Winnipeg Jets now, is because he was probably in his 50s on a trajectory to be a career assistant coach after getting that one shot as a head in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
And so credit to him for coming here, leaving Washington with a year left, associate head coach under Rick Bowness, knowing that this would probably happen, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny how the trajectory goes, but I don't know if Olli would come be an assistant coach unless it was one of those situations where, our coach is in his 60s and he had you as a player or whatever, you come in. But I could see him like a San Jose. They didn't this time because he's just started head coaching, but I could see them 3 years from now if they need a coaching change going, hey, Olli, would you like to come in? But unfortunately, in the front office, you have to have that European connection.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't begrudge that. Like, I'm not trying to figure out a way to get more European head coaches because there's only 32 jobs.
Well, sometimes it seems like...
and there has to be...
Is it stale?
There
is
has
like
to be
the carousel of coaches, is it stale?
Well... to a point.
Yeah.
To a point. But the problem is so like there's the major juniors, there's NCAA, there's the American Hockey League, there's the East Coast Hockey League, and there's the NHL. And there's only 32 jobs. And I bet you there is 40,000 coaches that would like an NHL job. And there's always ways to do it. Look at how Barry Trotz did it, right? But there's got to be, Jessica Campbell joins me from Seattle as an assistant, and she's been great talking about her trajectory as a woman. But last time I had her on, I thanked her on text, and I said, the next time we have you on, we'll just talk hockey. And she replied, thank you. I would appreciate that. I'd love to just talk some hockey. She fully understands why we talk about her being a woman on the bench in the NHL. But I also agree with her. I think that she's been there long enough now that should not be the conversation with her. Mm-hmm. It should be now as a coach. And I wonder if, Seattle just hired a new head coach, right? Yeah. So there's all these there's so many jobs, but it sounds like Olli, and if you want to be a head coach, he would love to get a job in the NHL. I don't know. It didn't sound like he'd come over to be an assistant unless it was like an associate head coach. Yeah. That in 2 or 3 years there may be an opportunity.
Call the Boston Pizza Jets Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-7800, 780-6800. Coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15.
What is your take on
Only at BP. The number one caller be awarded a $50 gift card to Boston Pizza on Friday. I think you'll see him in the NHL as a coach at some point. Yeah. I think the net is being expanded. And I think they're looking in different avenues. As he said, I mean, it took him until Paul Maurice asked him about his wife and kids. I mean, the coaching landscape is changing, and I think they're going to be looking in different avenues. And I think here, like the Bruins hiring Marco Sturm, I think here, because there isn't many European coaches right now. So I think while here it's like, oh, okay, cool. There's they've hired a German coach. I think as Olli said there, I think it resonated a lot there. And I think you're going to see, I think you're going to see, they're going to be lifting up more rocks every now and then. It just takes one person to sort of break the ice, and then you're going to start seeing more and more and more. And it was the same with European players when European players started to come over. It took a couple of big names to come over, have success, and all of a sudden everybody wants to run over and take advantage of sort of an untapped market. And I think there's an untapped market in Europe when it comes to coaching staffs and members of of coaching, and maybe even management, maybe at some point.
I will say this. One of the things I think he will be a great head coach, or is a great head coach already, as he learns the intricacies and relationships and the X's and O's and all that. He was all about winning. For a guy who didn't make the playoffs for only one season of 1,200 games or so, like even at practice with the Jets, it was, the odd, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
I don't care how many games we've lost. I don't care what our record is. You go every shift at practice. We're out here to work. We're out so. Yeah. I think he could drive a team. I think he has that. He could have that persona to.
He's a great communicator.
Winning
too.
Or losing, you better work hard and you better bring it.
I think he's a great communicator too as well. No doubt about it. 204-780-6868. Hey, let's give away that VIP car wash when we come back. And major contract dispute in the Central Division. I'll tell you who's dealing with what when we come back.
At noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, congratulations to Sharon, the text I read earlier. A female in her 60s. She says, I love listening to you guys. Not a huge sports fan, but I'm learning lots. That's all you got to do. I've always said I've been open to bribery.
Yeah.
For all those who think that we're on the payroll.
It's been a long time since we've been greased to give it away, but you get it.
Yeah, I mean, all those people, we sometimes, every now and then, not often, we get a text message or somebody will put something on YouTube saying that we're bought and paid for by True North. We're not. Yeah. But I would love to be. I'd love to be bought. I'd love that check.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I've always said I love that check.
Say somebody wanted to say, here's 2 F-150s. We'll talk about your car dealership.
I don't need money. We can deal with the NCAA before these current rules.
If you guys want matching at Range Rovers or SUVs, we will talk about your dealership.
Hey, listen, here's a key to a hotel room. I'm not telling you that there's $150,000 in cash in a suitcase in there. I'm not saying there is. I'm not saying there isn't. But here's the key.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. we get car endorsement deals. I'm taking it right to Wash Method to wash her up.
Miss your chance. Get your thoughts on the show today.
For a brute.
Call the Boston Pizza Jets at noon hotline open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15 only at BP. The number one caller on Friday will be awarded a $50 gift certificate to Boston Pizza. Hey, Gabe Velarde will be on the show tomorrow.
Gabe Velarde, brand new contract, will join us live.
Yeah. Here we go. Michael Russo says the Wild are in a major contract dispute. This is from the Daily Faceoff with Marco Rossi. Rossi has turned down a 5x5 deal. The Wild won't give him Matt Boldy money. They won't even go near the $6 million range.
Well, we talked about this on the podcast with Tyson. I really think the Jets have to put a risk out and go get. I know Jonathan Taves is here, but he's 37 years old. If they believe in Rossi, now I don't know what their coaching staff does, but if they don't see Rossi as a bona fide 60 to 70 point second line center, then forget it. I get it. Whatever their scouting staff thinks. But if they do, or McTavish, I think they need to put a trade together here. Mm-hmm. I think they need to go get one of those players, put them in this top 6 and the opportunity to win. Because Gabe Velarde just said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I came from Los Angeles, it's not the best, but you get outside the downtown and stay in for one night game. You learn to love it here. Go get one of these RFA centers and solve your second line center. Now, it's going to cost, don't get me wrong, for everybody who might text and go, great idea, let's do this. it's going to cost you. It's probably going to cost you Barlow, Lambert, a first rounder, but I would go do it and solidify that second line center. And it's a bonus that Taves is here.
If you can get a top 6 forward sealed and delivered for the next 6 years, I think that's worthy of a trade like that. Anyway, it's Jim Toth all the way until 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Forte.
Let's see.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll think about it.